Well, that just happened. Splendid. Looks like it's going to be an interesting morning. All right, welcome back to my Colorado adventure, the 2022 edition. And I do not have a real hard and set plan for today. I woke up and didn't really have any specific destinations on the agenda, so I decided to just go out the cabin door and turn right and head up to a place called Kebler Pass, which is at 10,000 feet, and it's up this really long, windy mountain road, and it looks to be fantastic. So I'm very excited about that. I did wake up this morning a little bit sore from that hike yesterday, so I'm very much looking forward to a lower mileage day with a lot of breaks and a lot of just sightseeing and relaxing. So that is the plan. I'm excited. We're gonna pop over to Crested Butte and then come down through Gunnison, check out the Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park, and then make our way down towards Silverton and end the night in a place called Montrose. All right, so with that out of the way, it's time for a scenic montage. We're gonna need a montage. Well, that just happened. Splendid. Looks like it's going to be an interesting morning. Well, folks, there's the culprit. Son of a bitch. All right, a quick status update. I'm about 8 to 10 miles from Crested Butte, and rather than take the entire tire off and deal with that huge mess, what I've done is I brought a tube of green slime, and the puncture was really tiny. It was a super small nail, and so I'm hoping that the green slime will keep the tube inflated long enough for me to get into Crested Butte where I can just bring it into a shop. I'm inflating it now, and it's mostly holding. If I go to the spot here, you can see right here, you know, it's bubbling a little bit, but it's, for the most part, it's holding. And like I said, I just have to limp for about 10 miles. So I'm going to pump it up to 34 and then immediately go and try to get as far as I can. I made a little mess with the green slime, squirting it in, but let's hope this works. I just need to get 8 miles down the road to Crested Butte. And boy, that was a very uneasy feeling. I came around this turn and I hit the pavement, and I was like, sweet, pavement. And then as soon as I hit the pavement, the bike started acting all weird, and it was like fishtailing funny, and I had no idea what was going on. I thought there was something majorly wrong with the bike, and then it just like snapped, and I was like, oh, that's a flat tire. That's definitely a flat tire. All right, there it is. All right, let's get this thing off. All right. Here's hoping that the tire stays inflated. Okay, well that was an adventure, and we are about to get rained on. All right guys, back on the bike, a functioning bike. All is well, I'm safe and sound, headed into the town of Gunnison, but I am full of anxiety, and really all I want to do right now is get into my final destination tonight so that I can get to a shop and get a few things that I now need, and I'll get into that here in a second. So let me take you back to the beginning, because honestly the story is full of some ridiculous comedy, I think. And I think you guys will appreciate the full tale. So I was going up Kepler Pass on a beautiful windy dirt road. You saw the footage, it was fantastic. Great way to start the day. And I was just a few miles from the summit of the pass, about 8 miles to Crested Butte. And the dirt road became paved again, and I was ecstatic. I'm like, this is great. I'm gonna have this really wonderful cush ride into town. And as soon as I hit that pavement, the bike started acting all funny. It was fishtailing around. It was all squirrely. And, you know, pretty quickly I deduced that I had a flat. And not just a flat, but of course a rear flat, which it always sucks, replacing the rear tire. So here we go. First flat tire out in the middle of nowhere. You know, I guess I was mentally preparing for rolling up my sleeves and going through the nasty business of replacing the tube on the side of the road. So I took everything off the bike, put it up on the center stand, examined the tire, and sure enough there was a small nail in the tire, and figured, okay, well at least it's not like, you know, a blowout or something. It's a puncture, pretty standard. You know, here we go, time to roll up the sleeves. So I brought several things with me to replace the tire. I obviously have a spare tube. I've also got a patch kit. Now, just before I left the house, I also threw in a bottle of green slime as sort of a last-ditch effort, just in case I needed to kind of limp my way along to a town. And I decided, rather than try to repair the tire on the side of the road, since I was only 8 miles from Crested Butte, I decided to give the green slime at least a chance. So, took the valve stem out, pumped it full of the green slime, gave it a minute, spun the tire around a little bit, and inflated it. And it inflated up to pressure, but I could tell that it was still leaking slowly. So basically I threw everything on the bike, got all ready to go, inflated it up, and then hopped on the bike as fast as I could and just booked it for Crested Butte. And all seemed to be fine for a while, but as I started getting close to town, I could tell that the back tire was getting low again. And right as I pulled into a gas station in town, I was basically fully flat again. So it all worked out. I made it to town. I was thinking, this is great, I'm here. You know, I can always reinflate the tire if I just need to get to a shop. Well, I'm in town, and I learned very quickly that because it's such a small town and there was so many people, cell phone service and internet do not work. So I basically was on this like mission to walk around and try to find a shop, asking people if they knew of a place. Everyone was kind of scratching their head like, I don't know, it's kind of a small town, I don't think there's any place around here that services motorcycles. I finally tracked down a place that's about 3 miles down the road that does service motorbikes. So I'm thinking, no worries, I'm at a gas station, I'll fill up the bike, with air. They've got free air right here next to the bike. And then I'll hop on the bike again and just limp it down to this shop. Well, somewhere in that chaos, while the bike was on the side stand, because of the flat tire, it caught a gust of wind and fell over. So that was fun. I got to pick up the bike in the middle of town, embarrassingly, like an idiot. So that was fun. So that was my first comedy of errors. Then I do inflate the tire, get all set up, ride down the street to the shop. So the first thing they tell me when I roll into the shop is, oh, you've got an ADV bike. Yeah, we don't really service those. We're dirt bikes only. And then we also don't have a spare tube in your size. No worries, I think. I tell them, I've got a spare tube. If you'd at least just be willing to put it in for me, I would greatly appreciate it. I'll even take the tire off if you want me to. And they's like, no, it's okay. We'll take it off. We'll do it. We just can't balance it. So hopefully you're okay with that. I said, yeah, it's not much I can do about it. So whatever you guys can do. So they get the tire off. I give them my spare and I go wait outside where I watch the looming rain clouds forming overhead. About 15 minutes later, the guy comes out and he says, well, today's just not your day. I've got some bad news for you. Your spare tube is also leaking. Fantastic. So apparently right along the seam, my spare tube split, and I don't know if it was just a defective tube, if it's because it's just old and been sitting in my pannier too long or what, but so I'm kind of in a pinch. They tell me they can patch it, but they also tell me that they could put in an 18 and it'll be fine. So they put in an 18 tube, but they also patch my puncture tube as a spare. So all that is to say, I'm riding on a incorrect tube size and I don't really have a fully functioning spare. I mean, I have a patched spare, which is probably okay, but you know, it's making me nervous. So that is the story. They got me in and out of there in about an hour and a half, and now I am in the town of Gunnison, as you can see, and I am just gonna go straight to my destination and count my blessings. And also find a motorcycle shop where I can pick up a legitimate spare tube. Oh man, good times indeed, my friends. So that is the story of my day. It's been a little bit of an adventure, but I'm really glad that I did not have to change the tube myself, because I just did not want to have to deal with that. And I found someone to take care of it for me, even if it was a little janky. So I know it's kind of put a little bit of a damper on my exploits here, but that's okay. I'm glad I got to do all the stuff that I did get to do the last few days, and this is essentially happening towards the back half of my trip, and I got to get in a lot of my planned fun stuff before this happened. So it's all good. It is all good. Okay, well, we're coming into Montrose, just a few miles down the road. So far, no incidents. It's been pretty seamless getting here. We did have to go through that big traffic, one-lane portion where they're doing like all this construction, but it was fine. I got to turn the bike off, let it cool for a bit. So now that we're coming into town, I've got a couple priorities. First of all is check into my room and take a deep breath, and then sort out two things. A proper meal, because I'm dying for a really good proper dinner, and then also if there are any Royal Enfield dealers in the area, because I'm thinking I probably should get a proper tube put in my rear tire, but at the very least I need to pick up a spare tube somewhere, because right now I don't have a reliable spare tube. So that is the plan. But for now, it's just get into town. It looks like I've got about 7 or 8 miles, and just check in and chalk this up to a win with this. So, whew. And then I can see just over those hills the San Juans. I can see Mount Sneffels, and in the general vicinity of Ouray and Silverton, which is where I'm headed in the morning. Excellent. So one last thing I'll say is I do believe there is a Royal Enfield dealer down in Durango. So worst case scenario, I could plan to swing through there on my way back to Flagstaff. So that's the plan. Let's get into town here.